Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Anena Hanson with MFS, Monadnock Family Services, and this is Voices of Monadnock, a program of MFS and the Greater Monadnock Collaborative Chamber of Commerce, where we talk about people who live in Monadnock, what they do, what's great about our area, and today we have Matt. I don't even know how your last name is pronounced. let me just let you say that to be sure.
Yeah, my name is Matt Smetana.
Okay, that's what I thought. Today we have Matt Smetana.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Smetana. I work for the Cheshire County Conservation District. We serve all of Cheshire County, and I'll probably be telling you a little bit more about that.
Yes. So by all means, what I know about you is that you are from Chicago.
Yes.
And that is all. So now I want to hear the story of how did somebody from Chicago end up here in the Monadnock region?
Sure. Yeah, it's like a long and winding story, as most
all
are.
All the good ones are.
Yeah. I really wanted to get out of Chicago.
Everybody always does, right?
Exactly. I was in the suburbs. It's sprawling sort of wasteland of houses and strip malls and cemeteries, very few parks and green spaces, and decided to check out schools for university in the Northeast and settled on Brandeis.
Okay.
So right outside of Boston, went to school there for environmental studies and never left the Northeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then was it a job offer that brought you up here?
Yeah. So I lived in the Hudson Valley before this. I was running a special education program, getting kids into nature, into the forests. Also managing that forest there, which was a really sweet experience.
Nice.
Learning native biodiversity, the landscapes that we have here. And unfortunately, COVID hit and that job was lost. But it provided an opportunity to explore different areas. And during college at Brandeis, I came up to New Hampshire to explore the White Mountains and just felt connected to this space already. So thought I'd check out the Monadnock region and haven't left since. It's been nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can tell you are a very easy sell when it comes to tell me what you love about the Monadnock region.
Oh yeah, pretty obvious.
You're out there like literally hands-on out there being outdoors every day. So tell me, what is it that you enjoy doing here and what you think is special about the ecology of this area?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know this, but we're actually in this transitional zone, ecosystem-wise, between a lot of the southern hardwood forests that you would find further in the south and the northern boreal forests, which are more like conifers, pines. And so we have this interesting gradient here in New Hampshire, here in the Monadnock region, that allows a lot of diversity to meet. So we have different ecosystems blending. We have different elevations that also allow for different plant species and animals to live here. And so we have a convergence of a lot of diversity that makes for interesting exploration and just keeps your brain wondering all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So have you discovered or encountered any rare species of anything that for you has been like, oh, I always wanted to see this or anything like that?
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you've ever been to Pisgah, I'm not sure if you've been to Pisgah State Park. It's in the southwestern corner of the state. It's actually the largest state park, and we have it here in Cheshire County. Chesterfield.
Is that Chesterfield?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have been there. Okay.
Chesterfield, Hinsdale, Winchester, a little bit of all those. Biggest state park. There are different lakes, and because of the tree species that are surrounding the lakes, it actually acidifies the water to an extent that it allows pitcher plants to grow there. So carnivorous plants can actually survive here in the southwestern corner of New Hampshire.
Didn't know that.
And they get to be pretty big. Like, they're obvious if you see them.
What do they eat?
Insects. So they I don't know if you know the sort of dynamics of a pitcher plant, but they attract insects with sweet liquid that smells really good. Like if you're an ant or a fly, you really want to try it. And so you fly to that little substance, you take a taste, and you end up
the last
falling.
thing you ever taste. Huh?
Yes, exactly. And then you fall into a pit, a pitcher of...
And you regret your ant life choices.
Exactly, yeah. Your short life became even shorter, unfortunately.
I did not know that we had that. This makes me very excited to go to this state park in my own
Pisgah.
backyard, and see pitcher plants.
Yeah, and there are a few other carnivorous species here in New Hampshire too. So yeah, just exploring the ecosystems and seeing what we have here has been really exciting and makes me question my surroundings and just be inspired by this space.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is the state of conservation in the Monadnock region, do you think? Are we doing well? Are we doing badly?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the world as a whole, I would say that we are putting a lot of stress on ecosystems, on habitats. High development is causing habitat loss. It's causing more interactions between humans and wildlife, which is putting stress on our ecosystems and biodiversity. But one of the saving graces of the Monadnock region is that we actually have just really tight communities. We have organizations that work together to solve regional issues.
Yeah.
And it's pretty unique for New Hampshire, and I would say pretty unique for the country as a whole, to have even businesses that are competing with each other, collaborating, saying we want to solve these problems as a community. We care about this space. We care about each other. We love that this region has biodiversity, so we want to protect it. That's sort of unique and characteristic to this area and gives me a lot of hope.
It is. It's feedback that I get about the Monadnock region a lot. Oh, they're so collaborative there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we are.
And I work for the Conservation District, and we serve on a few statewide programs. And so we have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the state. And that's messaging that's discussed on a statewide level, that there's more collaboration happening here, that there's more community spirit, it feels like. And I wonder what the roots are there. I'm so curious.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up with this. To me, it's just the norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, why are we good at this? I don't know, but it is a nice thing. So tell me more specifically about what you're doing with the Conservation District.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm our community engagement coordinator. So planning different programs in the community. I perform outreach for the Conservation District, so you'll see newsletters and social media publications that are public-facing, are produced by me, and in collaboration with others, of course. But any of our programs are grant opportunities for farmers, our community events like river cleanups and outdoor gear field days. All of these are products of the Conservation District in collaboration with a lot of organizations. And I feel really lucky to have a hand in making some of those happen, being in community.
Yeah, that's cool. And why don't you go ahead and give us just the little overview of what the Conservation District is? Because when you told me earlier, it was not what I thought it was.
I know, yeah. So a lot of people will think that conservation districts are similar to a land trust, people dedicated to holding and protecting land.
A conservation commission, right? Something like that.
Yeah, and conservation commissions will work in that space. Conservation commissions here in New Hampshire are largely volunteer-based. Right. But every county in the United States has a conservation district. They're the companions to federal agencies like the U.S. Department of Ag. That's how they were set up, to bring federal dollars to communities and community insight to federal spaces. But have transitioned since then. So we host educational programs, we have financial opportunities for all of the residents in our community, and conservation looks broader than what you might initially think. When I think of conservation, I think of a river running through an untouched wilderness.
Right.
But it also looks like building good stewards in our community. So we've collaborated with the Keene Public Library to set up a seed and tool library, because folks who are engaged in the food system and understand where food is coming from are more likely to engage in their natural environment, make good dietary decisions, sort of be in the world and understand all of the interrelations. And the beautiful thing about conservation districts is that they see all of the webs and meet community needs in so many ways. And I can go into programs if you'd like. We have a lot of different stuff going on, touching food access, farm viability, wildlife habitat. It's really special.
It's amazing stuff
It
that
really
you're
is.
doing. And I loved what you said earlier when you were talking to me about the public health overlap, because I don't think of conservation and public health in the same category at all. And yet anything that's getting people outdoors, getting them involved in their environment, getting them aware of where their food comes from, and then maybe making different choices about how they eat. And then there you go, you're addressing things from a public health perspective.
Exactly.
It's very
Stewardship,
multi-layered,
behavioral sort of support, all of these interconnections in our world. You can find a way to relate to anything. And I think conservation districts are well poised to meet a lot of community needs through nature, through agriculture. And it's exciting to be able to explore those in a community that's welcoming, that's partnership based. I've just appreciated it a lot.
Yeah. That is very cool. For me, with my work that I do around experiences of adversity and how do people find their way back and cultivate the resilience inside ourselves to keep going through challenges. And when I had in June of 2021 my life partner died suddenly, and that was totally by default. We went to stay with a friend who lived in a home with a long driveway through the woods, and I didn't want my daughter to hear me crying, so I would go outside and walk up the driveway away from the house to not be just losing my marbles in front of her all the time, and walk up and down the driveway. And after some time I realized, I feel better when I do this. And it's not just about the emotional release of the crying, it's about being outside and walking. And it was just this revelation. I grew up in the area. I like to take walks, whatever. But it clicked with me. This is making me well. This is helping me heal and recover. And I've become devout about it ever since. We don't live there anymore, but wherever I am, every single day, I walk outside no matter what, because that experience totally, without any intention in it, showed me, being outside, being under the trees, and then coming out onto the big lawn and just being in the air at all different temperatures at all different times of day, and seeing the same trees here in every season of the year, and just, it was so soothing and restorative to my nervous system. It wasn't just the emotional, I feel better, because it was being there, just what it did for my body to be outside and moving in nature. And we're talking, I just walk, I'm not exercising, I'm just walking. And I do it now around town where I live or wherever I am, because it's still fairly rural. But I say it saved my life. It saved my sanity. It saved my mental health. And so that, for me, what you do, I'm just immediate believer, because I didn't know, but I discovered that going outside and walking every day keeps me well and keeps my mental health strong. And so there's so many different applications for that we can do in this area. Fine, if you don't want to walk, well, you can kayak, you can fish, you can ride a bike, you can go snowshoeing in the winter, you can do whatever it is, but get outside and move, because it's not just, physical activity is healthy, it's being outside is good for humans.
Totally. That's where we came to be, right? And it stimulates our brains. You know, we talk about TV and the internet as being just so distracting. I feel like those distractions don't lead us to really finding ourselves in the world. But if you're out going for a walk and noticing the birds that come around at the same time every day, you start asking questions that like sort of course shift your brain. You're like, oh, I know those birds. Like I now have a relationship with them because I see them every day.
Right.
And maybe you're not perceiving birds in this whole new light, but you're saying there's a rhythm to this world that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
And I can choose to explore and choose to ask questions and see the stories and the like mini dramas and wonders in the world.
I love that, a rhythm in this world that I'm part of. And I think in culture today, and whatever, we have this wonderful modern culture with all these fantastic abilities, and I'm not knocking that, but for me, reconnecting to that rhythm has been very life-giving. So what are the sorts of things that people can do through the conservation districts to reconnect to this rhythm here in the Monadnock region?
Yeah, great question. And first, I'd like to just say, ask, did you have somebody who initially brought you outside? Was there like a parent or a neighbor or somebody who...
When I was a kid?
Yeah.
Well, again, I grew up in a very rural area, so it was kind of, and we didn't have TV. It was a religious community, so we didn't do even what technology was available back in the 80s, you know. That was not our thing, and so it was, go play outside, you know, get out of the house. My mom just kicking us out. But yeah, that was play, was go outside, and it was very organic. Yeah.
And then it was up to you to sort of like figure out what that meant, right?
Oh yeah, so much. I spent a great deal of my childhood playing outside.
That's so same here actually, but probably a little bit different of a landscape.
Right.
We lived in suburbia and suburban sprawl, and so the backyard was like this 1/4 acre. We had grass, we had some trees, and I distinctly remember these like rocks that I would pick up like daily. I would pick up and see like the worms and the bugs rolling around under there. And the biggest proponent for me in engaging in nature and finding this love and also this therapy and connection was having a parent who maybe didn't grow up with that and didn't necessarily understand what I was exploring, but allowed me to and encouraged me to. And my mom to this day says that I was her teacher in nature. And I was too, you know, I didn't think I was a teacher, but allowing your children to follow their interests and curiosities and enabling that, like maybe they do want to go for a hike. Maybe they want to be at a nature center exploring the little containers of salamanders, you know? That feels like a way of opening your own eyes, but also encouraging positive habits in your life. Because if your kids are hooked on nature and getting psyched, then you're probably going to start doing that more. And we've talked about the mental health benefits of that. So,
free therapy.
Free therapy. Oh my gosh. Can't beat it. And we have so many resources in this area. I mean, the rail trail here in Keene and all the hikes, conserve land.
Right. Tell me about the gear library, because I know that's something that you are pushing for this for the warmer months.
For this year, So we collaborated as part of a work group under the Healthy Monadnock Alliance. We collaborated to establish a public gear library, a Monadnock Region gear library that allows residents, right now just Cheshire County residents, but eventually regional residents, to borrow outdoor recreation gear at no cost to them, as a way of encouraging folks to get outside, reducing barriers to experiencing the outdoors. I'm thinking of, so we offer boats as part of this program, and they are expensive. Until we were putting together the gear library, I had no idea how expensive a kayak was. it's like $1,000 sometimes. So, having this resource available encourages more folks to get outside and try new ways of recreating. So in that library, we have watercrafts, we have foldable kayaks, which are really exciting. They weigh like 10 pounds, I think, and you can carry them like a briefcase to wherever you want to go. We have stand-up paddleboards, we have tents, hiking equipment, snowshoes right now for the winter. There's also, and this library is through the Keene Public Library. So you just have to be a Cheshire County resident. You go to the Keene Public Library and say, hey, I was wondering what kind of gear you have available, and borrow it.
That's so cool. Is it?
Yeah.
So is it like a library book? You have to have it back by such and such a date?
Yeah, so there's like a rental
So great.
period or a borrowing period, and that ensures that folks can plan in advance.
Yeah.
If you have a trip to a state park.
Can you put something on hold for certain dates?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so
you call
cool.
ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
going to use that this year. I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
it's super sweet. And so this year is the first time we're really encouraging folks to use it. We just established it in the fall. And I encourage everybody to try it out and let us know how it goes. We look to expand it, have more sites throughout the region, so more people can access that resource.
Cool. So as we wind down here,
Sure.
what are kind of your takeaway thoughts? Or let me ask, what is your vision for where you are hoping conservation in the Monadnock region is going?
Yeah. Our communities are based on a lot of principles, and I think strong, resilient communities depend on connections to each other. They depend on local food. A lot of what we do as a conservation district supports local agriculture. And I think the more that we can be channeling resources, whether that's money or time and energy toward local organizations that are supporting this region, the more we'll see those community connections forming. We'll see neighbors getting to know each other. We'll see the ties that make us a more resilient place form and grow. And maybe that's what makes our region so special, is because people are open to that, and we encourage it.
Yeah.
So I see conservation as a piece of that. If you're getting outside, if you're bringing people into the mix because you love this thing and you want them to experience it too, that creates a strong community. That creates good conservation and stewardship.
Going to Pisgah to see pitcher plants is conservation.
It is.
Huh?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a shifting your brain, and one that allows you to experience the world in a way that feels good for you, true to you.
Yeah.
I think
There's something for everybody because everybody can do it their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's so much in our world that it feels like we're doing things for someone else. And because it's the supposedly right thing to do. And, it's time that we start doing things for us.
Getting outdoors is something we can do for ourselves, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is.
I love it. Well, thank you for giving us some really good ideas of what it can look like to get out and be involved here. I think the Gear Library is an amazing resource.
Totally.
And if people want to know more about your programming, what's the URL for your organization?
Yeah, it's CheshireConservation.org.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us. All of our listeners and viewers, we'll see you in the next episode.